TM5628 Air Force AFR 9144 Technical Manual. Railroad track standards are approved for public release. Distribution is unlimited. Department of Army and the Air Force, April 1991. Chapter 1, Intent Application. Chapter 2, Inspection Track Record Keeping. Chapter 3, Roadway. Chapter 4, Ballast. Chapter 5, Ties. Chapter 6, Ties, Railway Fasteners, Other Track Materials. Chapter 7, Rails. Chapter 8, Turnouts. Chapter 9, Rail Crossing. Chapter 10, Road Crossing. Chapter 11, Bridges. Chapter 12, Track Geometry. Chapter 13, Clearance. Chapter 14, Track Appliances. Chapter 15, Track Maps. Chapter 16, Maintenance Activities of Category C Tracks. Appendix A, Reference. Appendix B, Field Identification Railroad Text. Chapter C, Details of Railroad Sections. Chapter C, Details of Railroad Sections. Chapter D, Appendix D, Summary Standards, Requirements, Defects, Restrictions, List of Figures from 5 to 8, 5. Chapter 1, Intent and Application. I'm going to minimize this 100%. Introduction. The Army and the Air Force Railroad System is a critical asset of both peacetime and mobilization missions. The standard contained herein is propagated to protect investment of track maintenance and rehabilitation to ensure the Army and Air Force is maintained at a level that needed to support the mission requirements. Simply meeting the minimum standard required herein is not the necessarily best, most cost-effective long-term maintenance policy. The frequently occurring standards and restricted conditions indicates needed for comprehensive risk or comprehensive track evaluation to determine if major repair or rehabilitation is required. References. Appendix A contains a list of references of this document. 1.3. The intent. These standards define the minimum required condition levels of the Army Air Force Railroad track. The Army Railroads. These standards should be used in inspection, routine maintenance of the Army Railroad by in-house or contact personnel or prescribed in the AR 42072 Air Force Railroad. These standards shall be used in the inspection, routine maintenance, Air Force Railroad track, and in-house contract personnel. These standards are not intended for the should or not be used specifications or construction major track rehabilitation. The guidance given TN 58502 and AFM 887, Chapter 2, the American Railway Engineering Association Area, the Manual of the Railway Engineering and Host Nation Industrial Government Standards will continue to apply to new construction to the complete reconstruction of segments of existing facilities. Should the commercial carrier serve the installation require most restrictive standards criteria not including these standards, installation tracks shall be maintained to meet the carrier's requirements. The judgment of certified track inspector is and each criteria presented herein is supplemental each application of these standards. The track categories. All Army Air Force tracks shall be maintained in accordance with one of the following categories. Track Category A in the type of track. Category A as active mainline, any track with operating speeds of 10 miles per hour that exceeds 10 miles per hour, or track both active and inactive required for mobilization when operating speeds will exceed 10 miles per hour. B, active passing track, loading tracks, classification yard tracks, storage tracks, all other tracks, both inactive and active required for mobilization not previously identified in Category A. Tracks have an occasional use for foreseeable need. Chapter C, inactive with no current requirements. Chapter 1.5, the application requirements versus recommendations. This manual of the word shall and is required indicate the minimum or indicate the requirements of the standards which are met as prescribed in IR 420-72. This AFR recommendations indicate that the word may or should it recommend that the recommendations represent good maintenance practice. Conditions. The standards establish 4 levels of track conditions. The conditions will indicate the relatively serious of defects, allow comparison of different types of defects, provided mission prioritizing repair work. The 4 track conditions levels are as follows. Full compliance. The track meets all the requirements of standard tracks at this level. At most of the minor defects should be fully capable of handling all trains within the operating rules and installations and routine. The footnote of the Air Force uses therefore the regulation substitute qualified track inspector where the track is certified track inspector. Air Force not established and a training certification of the program at this time. See paragraph 221 details. Routine maintenance is required to maintain this condition of level repair, where generally only the minor 10 miles an hour track has a defect is serious enough to unsuitable for an operation greater than 10 miles an hour. Essentially, normal yard speed tracks of this condition will consider manageable. 5 miles an hour has defects of serious injury, serious enough to be unsuitable for the operation greater than 5 miles an hour. Essentially, a train may be allowed to crawl over the track. The level is intended for the warning zone to indicate the track is approaching the condition and will require removal from the service. For the no operation, track has a different defect serious enough to removal from the service. At this level, the operation trains over the track is generally considered hazardous. Operation should not be allowed except for as noted in 15D. Minimum required condition levels. The minimum required condition levels for the Army and Air Force to track are A, full compliance, B, 10 miles per hour, C, maintenance is per chapter 16 of these standards. For Army track, these minimum required conditions or levels are established by the AR 42072. Operation restrictions. These standards establish minimum required conditions level of the Army Air Force track. Also identified conditions requiring restrictions. Suspension train operations is intended to track inspector to apply the restriction and suspension immediately discovered in the substandard condition that the track can be prepared to meet the appropriate condition level as soon as practicable. Notification of the track restriction of the Army track is certified by the track inspector shall notify both train operation personnel and director of engineering housing and immediately upon discovery of any condition whose warranty restriction beyond the normal operating practices suspend the operation. The director of engineering and housing shall notify the installation transportation office through the ITO verbally and in writing of any condition requiring the train operation to be restricted beyond normal operation practices or suspended. For the Air Force, the track inspector shall notify both the train operating personnel, basic civil engineering, immediately upon the discovery of any condition which would warrant a restriction beyond the normal operating practices of suspension, as the basic civil engineering shall notify the basic traffic officer, the TMO, the traffic management officer, verbally and in writing, in any condition requiring the train operating to restrict beyond normal operating practices for suspended. 3. Operations over restricted track. For the locations where operating restriction have been imposed, the speed trains or other track vehicles shall be reduced to the required level before the first wheel reaches its defective, not increased until the last wheel has passed the defect. 4. The removal of track restriction. The track restriction may be removed from all defects resulting in the restriction having been repaired. For any armed track, certified track inspector shall notify the Department of Engineering and Housing upon completion of the Department of Engineering and Housing should the installation transportation officer receive written notice of the removal of the Department of Engineering and Housing for the Air Force track, the track inspector shall notify the base civil engineering shall notify the transportation management the TMO in writing and restriction having been limited hit. The restriction should not be considered removed until the TMO receives written notification. The traffic management officer receives written notification removal from the base civil engineering engineer. The track moved from the service any portion of the track where conditions fall below the minimum operable track conditions. No operating level shall be closed for the operating until the rail repairs are completed. However, such track may be used in written permit the Department of Engineering and Housing and the basic civil engineering in presence of certified track inspector during operations over a closed portion of the track. Certified inspector shall have the visual and contact with the train operator at all times prepared with a single and train crew of the stop. Any deficiency of Category A requiring the track to be removed from the service shall be directed in 30 days of the discovery. Judgment. A certified track inspector shall be governed. A certified track inspector shall have the authority to impose operating restrictions beyond the minimum required in these standards when the condition warrants. Defective conditions not or address standards. Defective conditions of all combinations conditions may be found which are not directly addressed in the standards. In the case of certified track inspectors, you shall exercise judgment in applying for the appropriate operating restriction. Chapter 2, Inspection Track Recording Keeping.